All right, we can change gears and record a podcast. All right, guys, here we are. It's How to Film Weddings. It's Stanton and Boomer again. Bleh. They have a conference coming up. It's the only reason they're hanging out today.
About that.
Oh, do you have a conference coming up?
Yeah, we decided
To nix it.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to figure out if conference is the best word for it, because really what we're planning.
Wait, save
What?
it. Save it
Okay. All right.
for the
I'll
pod.
save it.
Or unless we're on.
We're in.
Wait.
We're in.
Oh, yeah. That was our intro.
I can do an actual intro, but you guys have been
No,
on so
that
many
was
times.
perfect.
We're moving to, like I said, more a Joe Rogan style or like an armchair expert style. We're just here. There's Stanton. There's Boomer. We're going.
So we are going.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah,
Hey.
that's good. I think people appreciate the realness more so than me going, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name's John Bunn, and today I am joined by Boomer and Stanton. They're a couple of friends.
Friends.
They are married, just not to each other.
Man, you really are adopting
In your
the Joe
dreams,
Rogan
Stanton.
freaking thing. He's a stand-up comedian too now.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn, and today's episode has Boomer Bate and Stanton Giles, Cody Stanton Giles. They've got an event coming up, the Alignment Conference, January 4th and 5th in Denver. We talk about that, but we don't even really have an intro. We just start talking. We're friends in real life. We just recorded the call. It's not much about wedding filmmaking. It's more about like your desires, your excitement, where you're heading. I think it's going to be really helpful for you. I really do. And I just think that this is a conversation that is perfectly timed. And let's jump into it. Here's our conversation, my conversation with Boomer and Stanton. You guys are here. You're like buddies in real life. We get to do stuff with each other and keep up with each other and stuff. And anyway, I asked you guys to be on because of everything that's going on with you all. I watched a YouTube video with you, Stanton, yesterday saying, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do wedding films too much longer, or like, I just would love this episode to be more of a catch up with what's new. Last time I think we had you guys on, you were both in Denver, and just kind of get an update of what you're up to and why you're doing this event that we'll name in a little bit. But yeah,
Maybe.
So what's going on? What's new? What do you want the world to know? Yeah.
Boomer.
No, Cody.
Who's Cody?
Or Stanton.
Yeah, or Stanton. Thanks, Christian.
Call me Stanton in public.
Yeah, don't let people know what my real name is. What is new? Well, I will preface, since I know this is a wedding videography podcast, that I will not be talking much about wedding videography unless specifically questioned by John, which I'm happy to do it, but I'm going to come alive and talk about the things that are getting me excited in life right now. And going forward, wedding videography is not getting me excited. And so, but I encourage, my podcasty Stanton site's coming out, but I encourage those that like are listening to this to dive into the life that John, Boomer, and I will be talking about during this, because this is actually very emblematic of something that Boomer and I do called an alignment session. We come together, we talk about life, and we question things, we question where we're at, we talk about things, and then we leave motivated to go out and do our own thing again. And so that's my encouragement, not to like take over here, but like to the people listening, at least just from my blind perspective coming in today, of like, I hope people are just encouraged through all three of our stories today to go and live a big life and live a life that matters and that aligns with who they are after this. And so if what we're saying gets you stoked to go make the best destination wedding film or the best whatever it might be, go reach out to a planner in your area, do it. So
I like what you said, how you guys do an alignment session. I think an alignment session together would be great today, three of us. I get to join in on your alignment session and dream and stuff. And one thing I'm always very impressed by is how the two of you kind of push each other, are in each other's corners consistently to grow. And I just think there's something about that causes way more results. You know, Nick and I together have made How to Film Weddings. I don't think it would be what it, would be without both of us and us pushing each other. And at different times, I feel like I'm dragging Nick along, and at different times he feels like he's dragging me along. And sometimes, we're side by side pushing each other. But I think that real side of things is like, hey, like just even looking back over the last few years, how hard stuff has been in the wedding world, in the world in general, and needing that accountability, needing those kinds of people in your corner. And so alignment session started. Boomer, you're here also. You look great.
Yes,
You've
sir.
got your Multiply hoodie on.
That's right.
I almost wore mine, but I knew one of you would be wearing yours.
I almost wore mine.
We should have all.
But I knew one of you would be wearing it. We should.
Yeah.
And Multiply Clothing.
That also, Multiply Clothing. We have 0 notes, and I didn't want to have notes because I just like how, there's your notes. Okay. How conversations will kind of just happen. And so, Boomer, I got to hang out with you in person. Is it this year, the first time we were in person, or had we been in person before that?
I think it was the Rome.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
first Rome retreat.
Last year. Yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't hung out a ton outside
IRL.
of just Instagram and all the things.
Yeah. I've met you at Rome in Denver. We went to Chick-fil-A. I bought an extra set of nuggets for the table. I felt like that was a classy move. I don't want to brag. It was like every time we eat at Chick-fil-A, you get a sandwich, you drink your fries. You're like, man, I could go for like 4 nuggets. So, to spread the wealth. It was a good year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh,
that is a sign. There's signs, and that's one of them.
Throw in the 20-piece nug, please, for the table. But anyway, Boomer, getting to meet you, be in the room with you, there is something infectious about your personality, your dazzling smile, just your realness that I think draws energy out of people that they don't know that they have. Maybe, Stanton, you would agree. It's like, I don't know, you can feel the energy you have for your life. And so it's been... You were at our retreat in January of this year as well, and just being there, bringing you the energy, seeing your relationship with Cody or Stanton. And so where are you at right now in life? What's changed for you? You're no longer in Denver. Why are you where you're at? Just give us a little update.
Totally. Yeah. I think I've always believed that I'm way more than just my job, or what I do for a living. And there's so much that makes up who Boomer is and who everyone is, that we're just these mysteries that we can uncover. We can uncover that we like to do things. Certain things draw us to create something unique. And over the past couple years, that's been videography, and it's been commercials and branding, and it's been wedding films, and recently it's manifested in clothing and in music, alternative pop music, and now an event, a live event, and in sound packs, and it's so cool to uncover those puzzle pieces and start to figure out who we are as people, and using excitement as a compass for what you should do with your life, what the next steps are. And I think Cody and I were very passionate at one time with wedding films, and we put our life into making the best love stories that we could possibly do. And I think over time, things have shifted, I think it's said every 4 years, you change dramatically as a person. Your personality changes. And it's about every 7 years that every cell in your body is completely new, right? Like you are physically and emotionally a different person. And so it's been a natural change. I've done wedding films for 4 or 5 years now, and now I'm starting to see awe and wonder in other types of creativity that manifests in different ways, so it's still me, but it doesn't really matter what we create. It just matters that what we're excited, so
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the thought of it being a compass. And just that's something I had a really hard time doing for the longest time as a number 2 out of 4 boys growing up. Just preference in itself. What got me excited is like I don't care. I have to do whatever the group wants to do. I'm not like, I didn't have deep conversations with my parents like, John, what do you want to do? What's your preference? And so I remember being like in college, kind of having a mini panic attack the first time someone was like, hey, you want to go to Taco Bell? And I was like, what? Like, I can just do that? I don't have to ask I can just go do something I want to go do. And it's taken me a long time to get to a spot to kind of unwind some of the stuff in my life to be like, what am I excited about? I've just been, the story of my life, getting into college just because that's where my brother went, going into a ton of debt, and then having to make money. Like it was not an option. I had to go make, it was negative $3,000 or $4,000 a month the very first month I got after I got married. So I had to go figure out, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I have to make money. I have to. And as things have leveled out in my life and I've saved some and I've gotten, some of my passions obviously have come to fruition, but that's something that I've been digging into as well. And the word for me is like, what brings me joy? What brings me happiness? I mean, that's the same kind of vein as excitement. And I've been digging in a lot and got to a spot with wedding filmmaking. I've been doing it for 18 years. So it's, I'm a completely different wedding filmmaker and I'm excited about my next year's weddings and I want to do them. But over the last few months for me, I was talking to Heather and I was just like, I think I want to do photo. And I've been taking photos of our kids. I've been taking photos of things for years and they're beautiful to me. And like, I've been around 500 plus of the world's best wedding photographers over the last 18 years and watched them do weddings and always been a little bit jelly and just like, dang, it was to be so fun to roll up with a backpack and do this. And, just like so jealous of this. And, Heather encouraged me. And as I just turned 40 and like, all this stuff coming around, I'm like, man, I really just want to get my camera out. So all I did was literally, I've got my camera around all the time now with a photo lens on it. And I take photos. I've just started taking them because it's fun. And I've done a handful of sessions for couples and just put myself out there. It's like, I want to do weddings. I think it would be fun to do 5 weddings next year. And that gets me really excited. And people are like, wow, John, you must need money. And I'm like, I don't even care if I get paid I just want to do something different creatively. And, what is bringing me joy, like relationally, I've started going every Tuesday morning to coffee with 5 guys. And we just answer the question, what are you excited about? What are you what are you frustrated about? And we just go around and for 2 hours over coffee and just get real. It's like, man, that brings me so much joy. Like, I love that. I don't know how I wasn't doing that. And so like surrounding yourself with that kind of thing has been massive for me. And just like excitement is my compass. I don't have anything to add to that. Any thoughts? That's the best podcast question ever. I mean, I don't have anything else to add to that. How does that hit you? What are you guys doing to keep yourself excited? Like, we've talked a little bit about what you're excited about, but Stanton, maybe where are you at with that journey of being led by your excitement?
Yeah, good question. I definitely struggle the most with maintaining, I would say, consistency of excitement. It's always there, but maybe it's not manifesting. And I guess what I mean by that is I get really down in the dumps sometimes. I wouldn't say in like a depressed way, but there will be times where I do all the right things and I sleep really good. I didn't drink anything the night before. I'm eating a really good breakfast. I waited an hour till I drank coffee. I drank water in the morning. And then all of a sudden, like, I have no energy to do anything that I planned to do that day. And I started with 100 miles an hour of wind in my sails that day. And then out of nowhere, I'm on the couch doom scrolling. And that's not helping. That's not helping at all, especially with the way that my Instagram algorithm is of all these like motivation and things, people going out and just crushing it. I'm literally gouging my eyes out with a spoon, proverbially, like watching these Instagram videos of people succeeding while I'm sitting on the couch so long that I probably stick to it. Like, it's like I'm like one of those people out of the TLC that sit around all day. But I say that because I I have high drive, but I also have this other side of me that gets really, really down. And I say that because I feel like this journey of coming into alignment or going journeying toward fulfillment, this untold destination that we're all on, this journey that we're all on, has so many ups and downs to it. And I think that I'm starting to, in a very sober-minded way, accept the reality of that. I'm still trying to improve and have the days between those doom scrolling, whatever days where I'm sitting on the couch, become more and more, meaning like there's more and more days between whenever I am inactive like that. But I say soberly accepting that reality because I'd never want to accept and just say, oh, well, I'm a human, therefore I'm just going to let myself continue to sit here on the couch like this all day. Or I'm going to, give yourself a break, self-care week, self-care day kind of a thing. I do want to still approach that situation and be like, hey, you have something to live for. You have something to give. You have something that is inside of you that is screaming for attention to be manifest into this world. And I want to also listen to that. And so, but also realizing that it's just as much an equal part of the equation being a human, but not relying on that as a crutch. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So is that a yes or was that a maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
John was like,
I was just processing.
yeah,
I got a slow processor up here.
I don't think so. I just wanted your yes, your validation within half a second, or I was going to spiral.
So
I was
great.
going to go doom scroll. At any rate, I don't want to be too convoluted with my answer. I think I just wanted to lean into the reality of the journey too, because I think that's something that's really exciting and something that feels really true about Boomer and I doing this, what we've been calling in the Alignment Conference, is that we want people to join us on this journey of figuring out alignment and fulfillment and what we're supposed to be doing on Earth. And it's a dually motivating thing because it motivates me to, one, do things in my life and make sure that whenever I step into that space on January 4th and 5th with all the people that come to this experience, that, hey, I've laid everything on the table to be who I am between when I announce this and now, and I join me in this. But also at the same time, getting on and making a YouTube video like I did the other day and being like, I'm confused. I get lazy and doom scroll. But at the same time, I'm aware and have knowledge of the fact that I have something to give in this world. And I can never just become that sedentary person that has chosen and accepted who I am. I'll never accept that as something that I am okay with doing, if that makes sense.
Where does that come from? Like with
Yeah.
you to never, like, most people are cool with the comfortable.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Why do you I mean, there's DNA, of course, but like, why does it matter? Like, why?
Well, I think
Dang.
the
Great
why
question.
it's hard to trace a life change sometimes back to like one particular point. Like a lot of times it's a lot of life experiences that stack up all at the same time,
Hmm.
or that lead up to one specific moment for change in your life. And I think one for me was when I bring it up all the time, but it was where things changed. It was when I quit engineering and the reality of what I was told to do in this world shattered. I found out I was okay on the other side. And not only okay, but then I began to thrive, and I began to come alive, and I began to see myself getting excited for things. And so that was a puzzle. That was a compass for me. That was a cookie crumb on the trail, whatever you want to call it, a lantern ahead, a light at the end of the tunnel, saying, "Hey, if this small step can yield this, what else can I do with my life? What else is possible with this soul that I have, with this experience of life that I have? How can I manifest what is inside of me to the greatest potential?" Because the longer that I've gone through life, and I'm, only 32, but the more humanizing it is to see people like Hans Zimmer that, has gone through life and become who he is, at the age of 62, 64, something like that. And his life being a human and struggling and growing. And now he's this world-renowned composer that is traveling and making the most iconic, scores to movies that we all know and love, and traveling and putting on these epic performances with this band. All right, I'm probably not using the correct vernacular, but you get what I'm saying. And then the people that have accomplished in this world, Gary Vee, or people in political spaces or whatever it might be, the path starts to become more human, and I start to, in my own little way, relate to it. So I think that's the why. I think it's when you make that step, when you actually take action, and you have to like have equity in it for you to actually see, oh, now that I've actually done it, it gives me drive that I can do it more.
Mhm.
I hope that makes sense.
It's good, dude. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it makes sense. You're validated.
Should have said it
So
quicker.
yeah, darn it. Sorry. It's the internet speed. That's all it is. So the two of you are best friends. You were both in Denver together. You both started like stumbling upon this idea of a whiteboard meeting, or just like pushing each other. There's just something, it's like one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight kind of thing, where when you're locking arms with other like-minded people that are heading in the same direction, you can just do more. You guys, I don't know how actually you guys came across each other's paths. I know that you're very tight now. Boomer, kind of what's your experience with how the genesis of not only just the relationship between the two of you, but like when you guys officed together, you started like pushing each other. What did that mean to you? How did it help you get to where you're at?
Totally. I think I've always been a big believer in collaboration. I know I always do my best work in community, in collaboration. That was always the case throughout my entire life. But I think it was hard to find someone who saw this life in a similar lens of a race and something beautiful, and almost this importance of this life, and could also like keep up. I move at a pretty fast pace, and pretty driven too. And so I think I was just always kind of searching for, I'm always searching for friends and people, in this world that take their lives seriously, but at the same time don't, it's this weird, you have to hold your life with such importance, but like, if I were to die tomorrow, like the world would go on, So I think, I mean, it just, I love I'm describing my meet cute with Cody right now. Or Stanton. But
I love how every time it's Stanton.
Stanton. we went and got coffee. That was also the day that he met in person the love of his life, his wife, which was crazy. That day was like,
It's a pivotal coffee.
I know. Yeah, it really was. And yeah, I think we just hit it off from there. And he came over, and I was kind of telling him about my goal session that I do with my wife, Sarah, and some of our other friends. I've always had a whiteboard in my room since I was a kid. I mean, my mom had whiteboards that she would like hand us, to like draw or to be creative on. Like, there's just always been a whiteboard, So we had this big, I mean, maybe 10 foot whiteboard in our office. And Cody moved into our office at the end of 2022, I believe. Yeah, and we just had this full year where all of our office mates would just push each other. We had Monday morning meetings. We had alignment sessions, which are essentially each person gets about 1 hour to brain dump. And they could talk about whatever they want to. Sometimes they have stuff prepared. Sometimes it's basically just like the other couple people that are in this session have to be just sounding boards for this person to try to figure out some type of idea. And so we would do those a lot, and it just started to build and build. And, we always knew we wanted to do something together. And Cody was out in Oregon when I moved out here at the end of 2023. He was out here in January, this January, and we were walking on the Manzanita Beach, and I think you were the first person to say, like, I think what we should do together has always been kind of under, like, I think it's obvious what we need to do. We need to bring people into this type of way of life and type of thinking, and that's kind of where this event was born, I would say.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to address the fact that we're like kind of, I don't know if it's in the podcast, but we were like, maybe it's not a conference anymore. Now we're calling it an event, and I was like, what we have been calling the alignment conference. And Boomer and I think in the beginning, we wanted this to be a gathering of people, a retreat almost. There's so many different names that you can use for it, but we wanted it to be this experience for people to come and have their current view on life emboldened or jostled, to bring people into a weekend where they can find community and be motivated in a way like they've never been before going forward. And for some reason that maybe I'm not sure of right now, but we got into the weeds of planning the details of this thing. And we just started kind of calling it the alignment conference. That's something we'd said, we were like, way back in the day or earlier in the year, we said we weren't going to call this a conference. It was something different than that, but it just kind of became the nomenclature that we used. And then as we've had and planned this thing, it's got a website and we're selling tickets and it has its page now, the more that the word conference has started to feel a little bit dissonant. It feels too corporate. It feels too rigid. It doesn't really define what we're planning on hosting and having as we bring people into this experience that we are actively participating in at the beginning of January. And so honestly, we were brainstorming 15 minutes before this call on what to call it, and we don't know what to call it right now. We would love to stick with the word aligned, and we're actively in the process of kind of renaming it to something that, not to overuse the word, but that does align more with the mission of what it is. So yeah, that's just throwing that tidbit in there to address the conference thing. I think we like the idea of having people together and speaking and having people having the opportunity to speak and be motivated, but at the same time, it's going to be so much more than just people speaking. And that's where we realize this is about you. This is about the person coming to this experience, and it's not about these keynotes, and it's not about that. This is about the transformation for the person that is listening or that is attending.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you'll find it. It'll be alignment to be. Alignment to be. Okay.
I get it. Oh, I get it. Sorry.
So you kind of mentioned a couple of the details about it. January 4th and 5th in Denver. It's 2 days. You're basically inviting people in to your whiteboard sessions. You're bringing guest speakers in. It's not your corporate wear a tie to it conference, but it's actually something, from what I understand, that is meant to not just be New Year's resolutions. It's intentional to say, hey, let's get in a room. Let's push each other. Let's set some goals and actually achieve them in the year. And I think it's pretty rad because this is not just a wedding filmmaker thing. I mean, I know this is a wedding filmmaking podcast, but I wanted to say, like, I think it's really interesting how most people's core common belief is fear-based. And if you really dig down, it's like, why haven't I done photography? Why haven't I pushed to do, like, what are the things that I really wish I could be doing, or what? They're usually fear-based a lot of the times. And some of the things I want to do, I feel like they're timing based, where it's like, oh, it's not the right time, but I know that I have plans, and those aren't fear-based. But a lot of people are just afraid to step out and do something. And I think it's, watching you guys both with the Multiply Sound Pack or with Rome or with, all of the things that I've been able to see from behind the scenes. There's a difference between people that consume and talk about stuff, and then there are the people that just take steps and fail fast again and fail fast again and take steps. And, it's like, I saw a little meme the other day, and it was like a person throwing a dart at a dartboard, and it was like the person that hits the bullseye is the one that throws and misses it like 40 or 50 or 60 times. And then the other person's just like waiting till it's perfect to throw the dart. And I think that it's just interesting because what I've seen, not only in the wedding filmmaking space with people that hate how to film weddings or hate us or frustrated with us, so they're like, well, John and Nick aren't as good of a wedding filmmaker as me, so it's frustrating that they have a bigger voice to the wedding film industry. It feels like, well, that, or whatever it is, or they're mad because, they're like pointing fingers, like, well, you guys aren't, like, they're trying to disqualify you. And what I've seen is, it's like, we have the heart that we have behind what we do, or what you guys do, is always to push people forward. And we've made lots of mistakes, and we keep fixing them and keep getting better, and we keep getting better. And I listened to some of the first podcast episodes. Like, if you want to laugh and cringe your head off, just listen to like the first or second time Matt Johnson was on our podcast. Guys, I wrote out like 100-word intro and read it verbatim while Matt was on the podcast to him. It was so cringy and uncomfortable, but like, if I would wait to start the podcast till I had it all figured out, and that's what I think, like, Boomer, with what you're saying, is like, I'm taking this podcast very seriously, and my brand very seriously, my life very seriously, but also at the same time, it's like, it's filming weddings. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's everything, but also it's nothing. And that tension between the two of those, I think that the reason I rambled over to this side of the conversation was, I think there's a lot of people that are like, man, I would do that Rome course when I have the money, or I would go to that conference if I had the time, but they don't know my situation. They don't know where I'm at, or they don't know, instead of being like, this is something I know I should do, I'm going to take this step. I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to, invest into me. And the people that are the action takers, the ones that are like, just doing and getting out and trying and failing and learning and having a heart of like, I'm here to learn and grow, but I'm just going to keep taking those steps. I see that through every person that's successful that we have on our podcast. It's the same thing. There's so many people that I think of that's been on our podcast where they've made it or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, they just keep failing and have failed again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really feel like this event is like join us as we figure this out. It is not like we have everything figured out by any means. Let's all try to figure this out together. So I'd say like this event is really for those who feel stuck in that routine, of daily life and craving something more meaningful. People who want to break away from distractions and connect with a deeper sense of purpose. It's for the dreamers. It's for the doers. It's for anyone who feels ready to align with something that's incredibly, incredibly true to them. Someone who's seeking clarity, and I am seeking clarity. I am trying to figure out where I'm going. This is not like we have everything figured out and we're going to tell you. It's like, do you want to come along with us and so we can try to figure this out together? Let's do that.
Yeah. And I also think, just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying about who this event is for, I don't know how much we've talked. Maybe we've talked to you about this, John. We mentioned it briefly before. Like, you give yourself assignments, and then that kind of like leads to the thing that you should be doing in life. So you kind of are like pushing yourself to do these things. And I view it, and a lot of people view it as this relationship between push and pull. You push yourself to things in life, but there's also things that are pulling you toward them. And so I could see the reason for people coming to this being different. There's lots of different reasons. Boomer and I were advised in the beginning by someone to niche down to our target audience, but also to an audience that we have say in, that we have notoriety or have a voice in. And we were kind of advised to kind of stick in the wedding industry a little bit, but we felt that the problem of seeking alignment, the journey of coming into a life of fulfillment is a struggle that every single person faces, whether they realize it or not. This is the most important thing that we could be meeting about. This seriously is. And I know we're just two dudes hosting this thing, but this is life or death. And some people, maybe they don't realize that. And those would be the people that would need a push to go to it. And then there are people that realize that, and it's an easy sell for them. We don't have to explain everything that's going on at the conference. They feel pulled to it. They feel like, I need to be a part of this. I want to be around these kinds of people. But then there's the people that need the push. And then that's where it comes into being that person that fails and does things. That person is the person that pushes themselves into experiences and into doing things till they find what is pulling them in a certain direction. Because the more that you push yourself into different scenarios, the more that you find the pull in your life. And so a really practical thing that I actually started doing as a byproduct of being a friend with Boomer is the financial backing behind something. And when I was wanting to make, and this is something I think Boomer, you've been doing for a while, so I'm not taking your thunder here, hopefully, but I wanted to make my engagement film. And I just kept kind of putting it off. A big project. I wanted it to be great, from proposing to Lisa last year, 2023. Wasn't doing it. And finally, October came around. We were having an alignment session. And he was like, dude, like, book an Airbnb and just like separate. Once you get through this next launch of Rome, you're done with all of that. Like, pat yourself on the back for getting that done, but go and escape in the mountains and just work on that. Only bring a hard drive with that, disconnect from everything. And that's how I got it done. I booked an Airbnb within a day of that. And now I had this thing that I had, one, financial backing behind, but two, a plan for the future. And it wasn't a big thing for me to have to do right then. I typed in a date, I looked at an area, and I clicked okay, but it kind of bound me to doing something in the future. And so I made an engagement film, and ended up winning that little award or whatever for the best engagement film, which was great. But what was the biggest win from it is that I did it, and that I learned that I love telling stories and I love connecting ideas through it. And so that was something I pushed myself to do. And I found a pool by doing something that I pushed myself to do out of that. I love telling stories, and I want to do documentary stuff, and I want to document my life more. And I've been doing it more ever since then. It just hasn't been at the speed that I'm wanting. I'm learning to do that more. And so, to the person that maybe is like, I don't maybe understand quite what Boomer and John and Stanton are. I almost stuttered over and called myself Cody. Maybe I don't understand what exactly, I don't resonate with what they're talking about. Maybe it sounds cheesy, but they seem to be like they're really alive people, and they seem like they're headed in a direction that fulfills them. Maybe you know what? I'll book a $200 ticket, and then I'll book a $150 flight to Denver, depending on where you're at. And I'm just going to send it. And I think those are the kind of people we want. We want people that push themselves and maybe don't understand, because we're all trying to understand. And then we want the people that are pulled to it, that are like, yes, immediately, the people that bought the ticket within a couple of days of us launching. So, yeah, just going off of what you said, Boomer, that's something that I think I'm really passionate about, obviously, because I just soapboxed about it.
That's really inspiring. And I think it's one of these things where, like, as I was mentioning before we hit record, or maybe after, I can't remember, just about like, it's been 4 years now since my dad's passing. He was 62. I just turned 40 last week. It's only 22 years difference. And like, he always seems so much older, and it's like his life got cut short, but like, we don't know how long we have. And I've just watched, my grandma was one of the closest like family members to me. We were very close to my grandma. She had 5 sisters. And so it was like, I had 6 grandmas and 6 grandpas on my mom's side. It was awesome. And every single one of them has passed away in the last 20 years. Both the grandpa and the grandma. Been to 12 funerals on that side for all of them. And you might say, wow, that's so freaking sad, but it's also a gift, in the fact that it's like, I got to watch them and what they enjoyed most about their lives. And there's this beautiful tension between living life and having to do the things that you have to do, and finding that lane where you're like, at the end of my life, is 80-year-old or 100-year-old version of me looking back and saying that I'm proud of that guy right there. He's doing stuff. And that's how I have taken risks. I've failed. I've taken out business loans on businesses that have failed. I've launched products that's failed. But also, like, I'm a success, and I know it, and I'm proud of looking back, and you're getting ready to turn 40. I'm looking back at my 30s and saying, wow, what a freaking decade that was. Like, this is what I was doing 10 years ago. This is where I didn't have my second kid yet. I didn't have, how to film weddings yet. I was doing all these things, and I look forward as well. And it's like, okay, what are the 40s going to look like? And also I have this tension of, you don't know how short or long your life is going to be. And are you just going to sit on the sidelines? I've never been a just sit on the sidelines guy. And one of the reasons I was asking you, Stanton, I was like, why? Where's that come from? As I dig further and further back, I've watched people waste what God has given them for their life. I've watched people have a sedentary lifestyle, be overweight, lose their health, lose their life early. And so I care a lot about fitness because it's, I want to be here. And I care so much about stories because I think about my grandmas, and I think about, all the moments, and I get all these flashbacks of the stuff and home footage of, growing up in this awesome, perfect little bubble in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, just riding my bike around town and like being with my brothers. And I heard or saw a video the other day on Instagram. It was like, there was one time, which was the last time that you and all your friends went to the baseball field and played baseball, and none of you knew it. And it was the last time that you guys went. And if you would have known in that moment that you were, this was it. This was the last time you and all your buddies were going to play baseball together or go ride bikes together or whatever, you would have cherished it just a little bit more. You would have, but it just went on. Or it was the last time that you carried your daughter, or the last time you pushed her in the stroller. You didn't realize it. And you start thinking about all these different things. And to me, I don't want to get to a spot in my life where I'm like, wow, I sure wasted a lot of time right there. I really regret that. Who can I surround myself with? That's my first step. It's like, who can I surround myself with that is an alignment with that. Who can be pushing me? And that's why I have friendships and relationships with both of you and Nick and my wife and my friends here in Tulsa or whatever. And there's just something about, like you said, Cody or Stanton, like that if you financially invest in something, you put yourself out there, you say, I'm going to that thing. I put myself out there with these photos and said, hey, I'm giving away a free session. I'm doing the session. I did the session. I'm up at 4 a.m. editing the photos. I'm just so freaking stoked. I don't know what it is but I'm doing something different. I'm getting out of the pattern and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to take more steps. I'm doing another session tomorrow with somebody. I'm just taking photos. I'm learning Lightroom and I'm just growing. And I'm like, I don't know where it's going to take me, but that's what I'm really excited about right now today. So I'm doing it. And so if you're out there listening, it's like, what the heck are these guys talking about? I think my encouragement is, whether you go to this event or not, be sure to check it out for sure. But like, make that commitment to yourself. Book that Airbnb with your friends for that weekend where you're going to brainstorm, buy the ticket to the alignment event, like whatever it is, do that thing. You have to get out of your current orbit to change the way your life is.
Break away from the noise. This world is loud, man. It's loud, and it will keep you in autopilot. It will keep you in the rat race. Busyness is one of the worst things in this human experience. It is it's very, very dangerous, and that's a huge reason why I moved to the freaking middle of nowhere, Manzanita, Oregon, because it's just slower. It's easier to slow down here, and the Alignment Conference is a 2-day journey designed to break away from the loudness of daily life, and guiding you to go inward, to discover beautiful things and to eventually take action, in a space where all of us are trying to do our best, and figure this out. And so, dude, time is moving, man. I mean, like you said, John, it was January and now I blinked and it's November. That's insane. And this is just a chance to just like set your year up for success. Set your life up for success. Take account of your life. I think that's one of the most important things we can do. And this is, yeah, we would be doing this conference, event, whatever you want to call it, if it was just me and Cody, like really, we would be already doing this type of event. So if you want to come along and join us, sweet. If not, I hope you find time to break away from the noise.
I think last thing I just wanted to say is, speaking to the wedding videographer that is most likely listening to this podcast, I think when you go to the 50,000 foot view of the wedding videographer's journey, for 99% of wedding videographers, we aren't going to school to become that. And we're not doing exactly maybe what our parents wanted for us to do, or what we were told to do, or what society was expecting us to do. And so when you take that step and you become the wedding videographer, you stepped into the entrepreneurial land. You have stepped into a different realm. And a lot of times, and I know this feeling very well, there's feelings of excitement and joy and fulfillment and alignment in doing that. But as has happened with Boomer and I, not to discount from that journey and the time that we've had in wedding videography, because it was absolutely beautiful and has changed me into who I am now. That phase is ending. And how do I know it's ending? Because I'm not excited by it anymore. And I can't do with my life what I'm not excited by. I can't do that. I owe it to myself. I owe it to this world to do that which gets me excited, because that's going to be the most powerful version of myself. And that's how I'm going to be able to give the most back to this world. And so my encouragement to just wedding videographers in general, would love for you to come to this event that we're hosting January 4th and 5th in Denver. But My challenge is just to examine where you're at. I don't ever want to tell somebody to stop doing weddings, but a lot of times people get stuck in what they're doing because they check the box of, I did feel excited about this. I did break away from corporate America. I did make this move, but that's not the end of your journey. You are more than, as like the first thing that Boomer said in this call, you are more than what these titles that we give ourselves within these workspaces. We are more than a wedding videographer. And so don't settle for that. If that is what you want to do, let's freaking go. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. And I can guarantee you right now in your minds of anybody, and including us three listening to this, we can name 2 or 3 people that it's like, these people are wedding videography artists. And this is what they should be doing because it is absolutely evident, like through their work. And then there's other people that you've seen transition out of it. And so just an encouragement to you guys to, I'm proud of you for doing wedding videography, but also keep stock of where you're at. Keep stock of where you're at in your journey. And how do you do that? You listen, and you listen to your emotions, and you listen to your feelings, and you sit in silence as I'm learning, and you give yourself space to get away from the noise, to actually hear what's going on inside of you. And that's a big thing we want to provide at the conference. Last thing is, we want to provide space to get away from the noise, and then tangible things like community and action steps and systems to just make you absolutely explode out into 2025. It's not about goals. Goals are the tertiary or secondary objective. The objective is to figure out what you are supposed to be doing in life. Then you set goals based off of that. And that's part of that's the catch, is figuring that out. And that's what we're all on the journey of doing. And so we push ourselves toward things, and then we get pulled toward things, and we get closer and closer.
So good. I know we could do this all day. Alignment-conference.com is where to go. Don't forget the dash. Do not type in alignmentconference.com. Do not go there.
Absolutely don't.
Don't click it. Alignment-conference.com to check out tickets. We'll put a link in the show notes. Thank you guys for being here, being who you are. It's inspiring. I leave conversations with you all every time just feeling like, oh yeah, okay, I got to get back to that. I'm not going to just status quo my life. I want to be around people that are pushing me when I need pushed. And so thank you guys for taking the time today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, John.
And
appreciate you.
If anybody's been listening this far, message me and Boomer. If you're wanting to come to the conference, we might have a little special How to Film Weddings discount code.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
Yep.
Man. I like the close mic talk.
Yep.
All right, let's all end by saying goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Thank you guys for coming to this episode of How to Film Weddings
Love
podcast.
you
My name
guys.
is Stanton Giles. We're joined by Boomer Bate and John Bunn. Thank you for being here.
Go ahead, boom. Boom, boom.
Love you all.
All right, it's getting weird. All right, see you guys. Thank you guys so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed the conversation. As we mentioned on the podcast, alignment-conference.com for your tickets. Send them a DM for a promo code for special pricing, which is great. I think the tickets are a couple $100. It's going to be a great time. You definitely want to check it out. And then also, just as a reminder, our mastermind group is going to also launch in January. If you haven't checked that out, howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. Have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this longer episode. Until next time, we'll see you.